sent me saying, verse 14. This right here might be the most profound statement in the whole Bible. God said to Moses, I am who I am. This is what you are to say to the Israelites. I am has sent me to you. And that is the name of God. I am. Let's get, first, before we get into the, let's just talk about what the tetragrammaton first. So, now, history of that word, I am, is literally, let's just get into it. It's called the tetragrammaton. Tetra. All right. Tetra literally means four. It's Greek. And my handwriting is divine, by the way. By that I mean only God can read it. That means letters. It literally means the four letters. Now the word T-O-M in there, that is the definite article in the Greek. So we have words like the. So if we say like the chair or a chair, but then they would add ton or o at the end of the word. So that's the masculine. That's saying the four letters, not just any four letters. The four letters. And it was a term that was made up quite later. So originally, what was written down, the name of God in the Hebrew was this. Y, H, W, H. Now we believe that is pronounced Yahweh. Now, it's not just supposed to be sounding like there's that much tone in your voice. It's more like a breath. Yahweh. Something like that. Now, back then they did not have vowels in ancient Hebrew. It just didn't exist in the Hebrew alphabet. So we had these group of people who tried to preserve the text all these years, and they did most of their work in like the 3rd to 1st century BC. They were called the Masoretes. And when you hear about the Masoretic text, that's not the Masoretes. That's way later. So we see these people who preserve the text. Now, the first translation of the text, however, came from, it was done in Alexandria, but it was called the Septuagint. And the Septuagint was, that would have been, I'm pretty sure I wrote that down. 3rd century. 3rd century BC is when the Septuagint. So that was the first translation of the Old Testament ever into another language. It was written in Hebrew, so they translated it into Greek. Now, here's the thing. They wanted to get people to say Yahweh, so now we're going to start adding vowels and stuff like that. So they added A, and they added an E. Yahweh. All right, it came a little later in time. Now, so we have, that's the word we see now, Yahweh. Has anybody ever heard of the word Yahweh? Has anybody not heard of Yahweh? Okay, perfect. All right, so we have that. Now, how do we get from Yahweh to go to Jehovah? Because that comes next. See, later, when it was translated again, and this would have been 1516 AD, it was translated into the Vulgate. Now, they do not have the letter Y in Latin, so they switched it up. J is the variant for the letter Y. And they added a couple extra vowels to go with the word Adonai. Now, this right here, that word Jehovah, when it went through, when it was printed in the Tisdale Bible in 1530 and all that, and when it was going through the Middle Ages, now, they wanted people to say Yahweh when they saw that. In Latin, you were supposed to look at that and say Yahweh. But 1500s, education's not all that great. So they took on the vocal vernacular. So the word Jehovah is actually a mistake. That's not what they meant to say. Now, don't get me wrong. It's fine just to say Jehovah, or it's fine to say Yahweh.
Does that mean that that's God's name?
That is the name of God. It literally means I am.
When you pray, and usually I do say God, but I had cousins who were Jehovah's Witnesses, and they were like, no, his name is Jehovah.
Yeah.
So I got a little confused on that one. So
That's where that comes from. Now, Jehovah's Witness religion did not come around until 1931.
Oh, okay.
So we're talking.
But that was
20th
still
century.
before then.
This was way
Yeah.
before that. This
Yeah.
was 500 years before that. But now, all right. So now, when people start getting upset about that, think of this. Show them, okay, why do you call Jesus Jesus? So Jesus comes from the Greek Isus. So that's not the language they spoke back then. The language they spoke was Aramaic, but Jesus had a Hebrew name. His mama did not call him Jesus, she called him Yeshua.